I was on the other side of the world in, I think it was early June, when Sean phoned me in California to say we had won the competition.
And he didn't believe me. He insisted I fax him a letter from the Institute he thought it was a very serious joke. The brief of the competition was to provide a pedestrian bridge between Eustace Street in Temple Bar on the south side and a new walkway through to the Jervis Street shopping centre and the whole Mary Street, Henry Street area on the north side.
The genesis of the bridge goes back to the 90s when Temple Bar was developed, and there was a perceived need to link the North and South Quays and ultimately to link to the proposed railway station or the stop at Jervis Street for the light railway.
The bridge was to be called the Millennium Bridge and had to be ready in time for the celebrations on New Year's Eve. John Nugent from Ascon Construction was in charge of building the bridge.
So he decided that he would work on a shift basis with his men and to get in and do the foundation work while the tide was low and then get out again before the tide came back in again.
In order to avoid disruption to traffic on the quays and to meet the deadline, the concrete abutments where the bridge connects to the quay walls were built in Banagher, and the steel frame for the bridge, the truss, was built in Carlow.
The truss itself certainly was something that Thompson's Engineering in Carlow had never attempted anything like this before. Generally speaking, one would use tubular bars, which are perhaps might be that kind of size, but would be hollow inside. And what Price & Myers worked out very cleverly is that you could achieve the same performance from a section which was only that size if it's solid metal.
The design called for the main section of the bridge to be made in one piece, transported to Dublin and lifted into place in one go, a daunting task. It wasn't just the building work that was spread over the country. Architects James Howley and Sean Harrington from Derry and Port Stewart met in London and now practice in Dublin.
James was working as a sole practitioner, and he was getting very busy with some very exciting work, and he asked me if I would join him, and we got on very well, and we continue to do so to this day, hopefully that will continue.
The starting point for a great historic site right in the heart of a wonderful city is to look really closely at it and understand it and read its history and find out about its history. So one of the first things we did was we just delved into all the bridges that were in existence and had been built and had gone, just to get a feel for, you know, what was important about the site.
Beyond the forecourts was the reason for Dublin's existence, and that was the Aclia, the ford of the hurdles. If you're now in the year 1500, there was only one bridge across the river, the earliest bridge, which was built by John with John's permission in 1214 or thereabouts, had been taken away by an almighty flood. Now to the year 1700, we had 4 new bridges built across the river. Now, the people who had their businesses and all that around the Aclia were a little bit put out that there was going to be another river crossing because it would distract trade. So they hired a group of young, active men to go and knock down the bridge. And there was a fracas, quite a fierce fracas, and something like 5 or 6 people were killed. So it was immediately associated, that's the Bloody Bridge. When they built for instance, the Capel Street Bridge, and subsequently the O'Connell Bridge or the Carlisle Bridge, the developers did something which hadn't been done before. They shot straight away out to the north with wide thoroughfares, and Capel Street began to be built. There was a most extraordinary opposition to the concept of building a bridge east of Essex Bridge, because it would ruin the river. It would ruin the Ormond Quay, the Bachelor's Walks, the Wellington Quay, the Crampton Quay, the Aston Quay. All of these would cease to be quays because you couldn't get ships to them.
Dublin Corporation sees itself as custodians of a heritage that's irreplaceable and something to be cherished. Tourists come to see the historic trail and the Halfpenny Bridge as an icon of the city. Yet the city has to grow and change and adapt. A new bridge was needed to ease pressure on the Halfpenny Bridge. It's part of the DTI plan to reduce commuter traffic in the city centre to the maximum extent voluntarily.
This forms an integral part of the corporation's overall plan to regenerate the heart of the north side of the city through the HARP area regeneration programme, which extends from O'Connell Street right through the whole North Quays area, right down to Collins Barracks Museum, including Smithfield and areas like that.
The design of the bridge called for special handrails shaped for people to lean on, and which are also used to house lights which illuminate the bridge. These were made by hand in Belfast.
I think it was Sean came up with the idea that what we were trying to design was a piece of jewellery. The reason we referred to it as a stroke of genius meant that all of this could be done without disturbing any of the quay walls.
We had a particular thing in our minds when we were designing the bridge, and we used computers to enable us to achieve that. We could also then give that information by email to by the structural engineering company, and they could download that into their computers and work straight off themselves. So it's actually a very useful tool.
Yes.
What we ended up with, what we designed and built, was a portal frame. With the portal, a very thick corner and a very thick corner. And it's the very same structure as you would find in a barn in a farm.
There was considerable interest in the building of the bridge. Part of this job for structural engineers Robert Myers and Tim Lucas of Price and Myers is to meet the public and discuss their ideas.
Anyhow, apparently the Dubliners are very good at naming their own things. Oh, they are.
That we wanted the abutments for our bridge to spring from the water with gentle curves so that the water would spread around it. Similarly with the form of the abutments which bulge out over the river in a gentle curve, that allowed the very easy flow of people on and off.
Building the bridge in sections meant that the work often took place at night, when the tide was at its lowest. For crane driver Kevin Gallagher, it's all in a day's work.
Yes, I worked in contracts in Saudi Arabia, England, Scotland, oil rigs. Quite a change from here, like. But it's nice to get back home too sometimes. I'm from Mayo originally, but I live in the Outer Hebrides now. There's a few experts from Mayo as well here, you know.
All right.
Yeah. You tend to get a lot of building experts from Mayo that served the time with George Wimpey, and I attended the Wimpey Academy myself, you see.
Working through the night to take advantage of low tide, the first pieces of bridge are stitched to the quay walls. The bridge is beginning to take shape.
It was a fortuitous coincidence of circumstances here. There's a number of properties on the North Quay which were to be redeveloped, and there was an opportunity to develop a walkway through Jervis Street and the Henry Street area.
For builder Michael Wallace, the bridge brings a double bonus. He won the contract for paving the ends of the bridge, and he owns some of the buildings on the quays which are to be redeveloped.
Oh, well, I was just lucky, really. Better to be born lucky than rich. all the area from O'Connell Street right down towards Houston Station, all that place will be unrecognisable in 5 years.
The final point I would make on it is that it will allow us to take the Halfpenny Bridge temporarily out of service and renovate it. The Halfpenny Bridge is structurally very sound. Its superstructure is showing distress. It is an icon of the city and should be treated accordingly, and we will be very, very sympathetic and will ensure that it's replaced exactly as it was when it opened 182 years ago.
This bridge was one of the longest single cast iron spans in the world. The main elements were floated up river and they assembled the bridge and bolted it together in situ. Its official name is Liffey Bridge. It has been known as the Halfpenny Bridge and will always be known as the Halfpenny Bridge.
One of the things we wanted to do was to try and reflect this daring, the daring qualities of the Halfpenny Bridge by producing something that was as light and elegant and transparent as possible.
The truss is due to be lifted in on the 7th of November. So in between today and the 7th of November, they've got to paint the whole bridge, which will take about 10 days, and also tow it to Dublin, which will take about 3 days because it has to go very slowly. So today is very crucial because we have to ensure that everything is okay with the steelwork. So my role is that it all arrives in one piece and gets craned in and doesn't fall down and fits between the two banks when it's finally in there.
Before the bridge is delivered, the fins, the heavy concrete haunches to which it will be attached, have to be put in place.
Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Nice and hold it now, Kevin. Hold it.
12.45 on the main block now. You're getting a bit overweight now. You're like me, Pat. You're getting overweight.
Don't half like you.
Way back to Carlo.
Take it up. Up to the baby, Kevin. Up to the baby. Up to the baby. Keep going. Hold it.
Despite constant pressure to meet deadlines, which has meant long hours and late nights for a lot of people, they sometimes cut it fine.
It's going now shortly. I think it's leaving in the morning, 8 o'clock. So we'll hold a bit of traffic up along the road, I'd imagine. So I have to get this done anyway before, or else I'll be travelling on the lorry in the morning, going up along painting it.
Weighing 25 tons, over 140 feet long, 12 feet wide and 16 feet high, the Millennium Bridge is one of the largest loads to be moved on the roads of Ireland. For truck driver Frank Whitten, it's one of the biggest challenges of his career.
It was a bit of a worry at the start when Mr. Thomas rang me to move it. He laughed, he said I wouldn't move it, I said I would.
Crowds turn out in Carlow to see the bridge as it starts the journey to Dublin.
Back well to your right. Hello? Yes, David. I'm just pulling out the car with this little small load now. It tells me he's doing it. And me Todd is right. Well, nearly half Carlow is. Nobody doing it. You okay? I was moving in the cones up here. Castledermot now will be the only part we really worry about. There's a corner there at the pub and the humpback bridge when we go into it. Some of this is the audience out of the car.
I think you're okay now. There's just one on the left, that's all.
Okay, guard, okay.
Yeah, we have to go up there at 5 o'clock this evening. It's really 5 o'clock, yeah.
Hello? Oh, we're flying by.
With the quays closed, preparations can begin for lowering the bridge into place. The question in everyone's mind is, will the bridge fit smoothly?
You always have a slight worry, don't you, whenever you're doing something, but it's been measured and measured and remeasured.
The spotlight is on the whole team as public and press gather to see a new bridge being lifted across the Liffey. Though for some, the work is now over.
My job is nearly done. I'm in a few feet of where I have to put her in now. Next job is the big breakfast. That has to be, gotta be.
Despite some slight drizzle, the wind and temperature are ideal for lifting the bridge.
Well, there's a great sense of relief, obviously, that it's gone well. There wasn't just the gallery on the quays of the public. There was a lot of our friends and clients who'd come along to share it with us, and that's obviously a high-risk strategy.
The bridge had to be joined to the abutments with large steel pins before the cranes could be taken away and the quays opened.
Well, this is what we've been waiting for, isn't it? I'm going to be happy when those pins are driven home.
It soon became apparent that the pieces did not quite fit.
That shell there now? At the moment, what's going to have to happen is that the fin is going to have to be adjusted slightly in that direction. About that much. And you think of the size of the thing, that's not much, but it's enough to stop it going in at the moment. So they'll have to do a bit of pushing and shoving to get that in.
With the pieces to be moved weighing 12 and 25 tons, that is not as easy as it sounds. Nerves are taut, but eventually things slot into place with a bang, and the fixing pins are brought in.
I don't know, might drop that down there now, the whole yoke.
The pins have to be put in under pressure as they hold the full weight of the bridge. The delay means that work is having to be carried out as the tide is reaching its highest. men and equipment are under tremendous stress. Suddenly, metal breaks and one of the pins is lost in the river. The team from Thompson's now have to get the broken piece out.
What happened was that the lead, before the main pin goes in, there's a dummy pin which is taken, and the screw on the end of the podger, which was being pulled in with a jack, the thread broke.
The cause of the problem is traced to a temporary support which is preventing the bridge from fitting in exactly the right place. Part of the temporary support has to be cut away without damaging the bridge. Finally, the bridge is fixed into place.
Eric, I think I'll head on here, will I?
Yeah, I think you'll be as well, yeah.
Yeah, but wonder why you need one. You've got one right there and you've got one right there.
Not too impressed. Not a great design. It's more of an engineering feat.
It's great to see it. Great achievement for the city.
Our bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just come back over to live here, so it's something nice, something new.
With the bridge in place, Jim Egan and his men have to race to finish the handrails and pavement in time for the opening on December 20th.
Final fitting out now in the Oaks, that's all. This place has improved enormous. It's terrible improvements down here on Temple Bar.
But whatever the rush, Sean Harrington wants to make sure the work is up to standard. Even the bitter cold can't dampen spirits as the team put the finishing touches to the bridge and can start thinking about a break or the next job.
I'm finishing up here in December, making an attempt to be away before the winter sets in. I hope to go then to South America after that. Get a bit of warm weather, yeah.
Having lived with the bridge for 6 months, Jim Egan and the lads are moved along before the Lord Mayor arrives for the official opening.
If it had rained for the last few days, we'd have been in big trouble because really there was hardly an hour to spare. I mean, we were working as long of hours as we were able to work. I mean, we had to grab about 5 hours sleep every night as well.
Lord Mayor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls, Sean and I would just like to acknowledge and to thank everyone who's been involved in making this such an enjoyable and we hope successful project.
Congratulations to both of you. You can relax now. I'll ask the Right Honourable the Lord Mayor, Councillor Mary Freehill, to address you and then go across to unveil the bridge. And to add to the sense of history, the Lord Mayor is wearing the same chain of office that I'm sure was worn by her predecessor in 1816 when the Halfpenny Bridge was opened. Lord Mayor.
Councillors, fellow Dubliners, ladies and gentlemen, bridges hold a special place in the heart of Dublin and Dubliners. The river continues to both unite and divide us physically and symbolically. Even our name, Barlia Ahaslia, the town of the ford of the hurdles, is taken from an ancient crossing over the Liffey.
The Lord Mayor, Mary Freehill, makes the first official crossing of this wheelchair accessible bridge. and when the crowds go away, the Ha'penny Bridge will be left with its new neighbour.
And we've heard about Dublin, the fair city, all our lives, and the Liffey, and to actually be building a bridge over something one's heard about all one's life is a fantastic feeling, actually.
Of course, every single picture postcard will have to be redone now. That's all our fault.